Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Meet Up. And I'm your host, Iyanna Tucker. And I have a few new faces in the building today. And first, I have Lizz.
Hello.
I have Sam Bevins.
Howdy.
And finally, I have our new upcoming Thomas Nelson president, Dr. Brannon.
Hello. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you're listening. Good evening. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
So today we have Dr. Brannon here. So we just would like to ask her a few questions about coming to Thomas Nelson. I'm very excited for you, by the way.
I'm excited as well.
Like when I found out, I was like, oh my God.
I was shocked. I was really happy about it.
Yay. I'm going to ask you why, but go ahead. I'm being interviewed, but I want to know why, but keep going.
Okay. Well, the first question I have for you, what are you looking forward to at Thomas Nelson Community College?
Honestly, the energy here is really amazing. It's just, when I walked in for the interview, the energy was exciting. It was just energy from beginning to end. And that's not something, I'm a high energy person. I always have tons of energy from sun up to sundown. I can go, but because I love what I do. And every person that I met was just like happy and engaged and energetic, and you really looked like you were having fun. And I think not just the students, but faculty, staff, and not everybody has fun, like at work. Not everybody has fun at school, you know? And so you guys were so excited and so energetic and truly happy. Like, it didn't seem like anyone was sort of faking it because, like, you know, the candidates are here. And that was something when I left here, I couldn't stop talking about it. And it's really exciting to come back to a place where I feel the energy matches my energy. Because if I walk into a room and I'm energetic and folks are not, they're annoyed with me. They're tired and they want me to turn it down.
Yes.
But when I'm here, I'm like, whoa.
You feel at home.
You guys are turned up already. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm home, and I feel like I don't have to turn myself down, that there's a match. And I'm just excited to be at a place where people, are excited to be here, excited about the stuff that they're doing, and like excited about the future. So I'm just looking forward to being in a place where everyone is like, the energy is high and people are just like ready to go do amazing things. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I feel like the positive energy makes you feel welcome and motivates you to do more. Definitely. Well, I had an interview once years and years ago, probably 20 years ago. And when I walked in, you could tell that everyone was unhappy, like literally unhappy to be there. And they had actually started to argue and talk bad and like trash talk the place while I was in the waiting room. Oh, wow. And all I thought to myself was, I should just leave now. Like, this is me just waiting to be interviewed. And I thought to myself, they're so unhappy that they can't even hide it in front of the company. And it was just one of those, and they offered me the job and I didn't take it, but I always thought to myself, I never want to work at a place where people are so unhappy that you can't even hide it. Like, you don't even, it's become so normal, right, that you don't even realize that you're trash talking your place of business in front of people. Yeah. And that was, to me, I was like, I never want to work at a place where people aren't truly happy to be there. So I left here feeling that, wow, they genuinely seem to like this place. That was fantastic. Do y'all have anything today?
Well, that was very well said.
Yes, you did. Awesome job.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go
Is that bad of me to ask questions at your show?
No, you can talk all you want. That's why you're here, to talk.
I have a question. I'm going to put Sam on the spot.
Okay.
He said something to me when I was leaving, right? The last day of the interview, and I was leaving, and Sam said to me, he said, because he said he was graduating soon, and he said, I want my college to be left in good hands. And he said, I kind of feel like you would be good hands to leave the college into. So I just want to know, what was it about that interaction? What was the magic that I left behind that made you say that?
So during the whole interview, you were so engaged. And one of the things that kind of blew me away was every single time you got on the camera, and then every single time you got off the camera, you didn't change at all. Mm-hmm. There was no fakeness about what you did. Everything was so genuine. There was no acting, nothing. You were just you, and it was so obvious that you were you. And that's something that I think is super rare, especially even myself, I feel like I have to sort of put on a face when I get into these Zoom meetings, because I don't know. It was very very shocking and very exciting for me to see that. And you were so engaged, not only with the faculty but also the students. And you brought that same energy to the people who were going to decide whether or not you got this job. You treated them the exact same way you treated the people who were helping record you. Mm-hmm. That, I mean, just your character was so presidential.
Oh, thank you.
And I was really, I can't tell you how excited I was when I was told who won, because I was really rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We all were.
Thank you. I was always curious. I'm always wondering, because when you said character, I'm just me. Like, I really am just me. Just like, I'm tall, so like I wake up tall. I can't help it, and so I'm just sort of me. And I always wonder, certain people like me and certain people don't.
And that's okay.
It's so okay, because I'm just me. But I always wonder, what is it about me that people like? Because all I think is I'm just me. And honestly, some folks just don't. They're like, eh. Or they think it's fake. They do think it's fake. They're like, she can't possibly be like that all the time. Like, who can possibly? But it's like I'm always this tall, right? So it's like it just is who I am. But I always wonder, what is it that you thought? Okay, I'm going to turn the interview back over.
Okay.
See.
Well, can I piggy off back?
Absolutely.
You asked Sam. Well, honestly, when I seen you that day, I was like, okay, I see her strive for success, and she wants this. And I felt that you was really engaged with the students and the faculty and staff. And I was like, I like her. I was like, she's not just like for like that spot, but she wants to actually do better what she can for the college. And she wants to make improvement wherever she can. And I felt like you was actually connected with us, and it wasn't just for the position or you're just coming here. You're actually coming for us and actually want the students to be involved. And I felt that was like a real strong impact on our decision about you.
I definitely would say it's I don't know if that's rare, right? I don't know if that's rare, but I always imagine, like, my mom has a bakery and a restaurant all my life. My mom's had a bakery and a restaurant. So I think a lot of the stuff I've learned comes from growing up in that sort of industry. And I say that because my mom is a trained chef. She can cook. She can cook whatever.
Too?
No. Not, just compared to my mom, right? So like, if I made you something, you wouldn't get sick. But if she made you something, you would never want to eat from me again, because her food's just amazing. So compared to my mom, I just, I do education, she does culinary arts, and we're both good at what we do. But she responds to what people want, and so it doesn't make sense if you just say, hey, I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to come to a place and I'm going to make the best food, right? Or I'm going to make the best decisions, and you're going to love it, right? Because I'm so smart and I know what I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, the reason the institution exists is for faculty, staff, and students, right? It's about education and enhancing the mind, and so like, why wouldn't you want the people who are supposed to benefit from it to be part of the process, right? The decision-making process, the engagement process. I always imagine it's the worst decision in the world for someone to treat any place like, because I'm in charge, I'm in charge. I make all decisions, and I must, right? I have a doctorate degree, so it must be brilliant. No, right? It's sort of like, it's ridiculous. Your experience is going to be different. Everybody's experience is going to be different, and you want people to feel like they belong here. And the only way you do that is you engage those people in the conversation, right? In all the activities. Like, what would be meaningful for you? What's meaningful for Sam is not meaningful for Liz, right? But you want to make sure they all leave feeling as if I had a meaningful experience. So I honestly just think that is watching the way my mother practiced. And my mom's been in business for over 40 years. There's a reason, right? Restaurants don't stay open for 40 years, especially and she's in New York City. There's a reason, because she's always making sure that she's doing what her clients want. Mm-hmm. And that changes, right? If that changes, she responds to that. And I look at anything I do as sort of like, it doesn't matter what I want. And I always say that it doesn't matter what I want. What do you want, right? That's going to be meaningful for you. And so for me, that's just been the way I was raised. And I found that it's effective. But I also find that students love that. Faculty love that. Staff love that when you engage them, because you all have something to offer. And so for me, it's just a smart way to be. But after doing this for so long, being this way for so long, I always think to myself, some of the best ideas that I get, come from faculty, staff, and students. Like, anytime I do something and people are like, oh, that was brilliant. I'm like, I stole that from Thomas Nelson. Or I stole that from, Taiwan. It's sort of like, my job was to say, okay, how could it work here, right? I saw a great thing somewhere else. Could it work here? And that's when I engage other people. Like, so tell me, how would that work at this college? What wouldn't work at this college? And if you're a part of that conversation, then you get invested, you feel value in it, and that's going to be meaningful for you. We all want to leave something behind, like leave a legacy behind.
Yes.
And so if you can leave here 10 years from now, right, and press play, it's still going. Like if all of a sudden, Thomas Nelson becomes like the epicenter for journalism, like in the community, right, and it all started here, you can always say, like, that's part of my legacy.
Yes.
Like, that started with me here. The interview you guys did, being virtual, right, that's something you did that was never, ever done before, and it's going to change the way we operate forever. Right? That's something that gets to be part of your legacy. And so years later, when you meet someone who's a student here and they're telling you about this great thing you did, you're like, oh yeah, we did that 10 years ago. We started that. But it's you build on something and it becomes meaningful to you because you were part of it. And I think that is an important thing to do when you're a leader, is to give people the opportunity to be part of something that's bigger than them. And I don't know why you wouldn't, because it feels great when you can do that.
Yes, instead of just sitting back and watch, you're actually doing something about it. Yes. Okay, well, thank you for that. And now I would turn it over to the next question. What are your expectations for this upcoming semester?
Spring 2021. First of all, I think everyone's looking forward to 2020 being over.
Yes, very much so.
Everyone is looking forward to 2021. So it's interesting. Usually spring is like a time for new beginnings, right? But it's now more than ever. Everyone wants a new beginning. I do wish that the coronavirus and the pandemic was shifting in a different direction. That I think everyone was looking forward to that changing. And although it's not, there's some promising things happening with vaccines. So I'm really hoping that we can start planning for our opportunity, our chance to get back together. Being a new president at a new institution when people aren't around, I got into this work because I love people. I like engaging with people. And so it's difficult not being able to see people all of the time. And so one of my expectations is to still try to be as present as possible, even if it can't be in person. Like I came to visit today. I came in person because I really wanted to be in person. Like I really wanted to see the faces and be able to talk to you in person. That was really important to me. So I'm going to try to connect as much as possible. And if it's virtual for a while, that's fine. But I really want to get to know more students. Like I've met you all. I know there's more. I know there's more. I would love to be able to meet more students, engage with more faculty and staff, get out into the community and meet the people who are invested in the success of Thomas Nelson. And that's really what I'm looking for. And hopefully to plan what it looks like when we come back together, which I really hope is fall. I know the college is going to be online for spring 21. And I think for safety and health reasons, I absolutely think that is the best. It is, I don't think it's anyone's preference, but I think it's a safe and wise thing to do. But I really also look forward to planning for getting back together and what that would look like. And I have a lot of hope. And I usually don't go on hope because hope is like, hope is hope. I like a plan, but this is one of the times where I really, really hope that we are in a place where this virus is not still like the biggest threat to our ability to reconnect, because I think a lot of people really need to be connected, at least to have the option to connect. So that's the plan for 2021. I'm hoping for a whole lot of new beginnings and changes, but I'm really going to try to spend a lot of time connecting with as many people as I can in person or virtually if I have to.
Okay. Well, I definitely agree that you just got to see where it goes, really.
Yeah.
That's how 2020 been. You just gradually move on to the next day and next day.
How do you all feel about it? I mean, it's sort of, you were sent home, right, in spring, and here we are in fall, a lot of, online instruction, and spring 21 is going to be, from the student perspective, what are you looking forward to? I guess, if I could ask, what are your hopes for spring 21?
Well, for me, my hope is actually to become connected, like you said. But honestly, I think for the 2021 semester, it is safer to be online because this whole transition and going back to phase one and thing. Well, I didn't even know we had these many phases, but yeah. So I think with that, I think we're actually doing okay because we want you, like you said, you want to keep us safe. So why not just do what you can for now and then just have hope for something actually to come better out of the situation?
Yeah, so I was pretty sad when I heard everything was going to be online, mostly actually because that would mean the majority of my time at Thomas Nelson would be spent online. And so that was kind of sad, but I think it is the smart and wise choice to keep things online. My hopes for next semester is to help steer our student government and other things along in a way that will lead to success in the following semesters. We've been very successful this semester, in my opinion, even though we haven't gotten to do everything we wanted to do. But given our circumstances, I'm really proud of what everyone was able to accomplish. I think in terms of next semester, I really want to get more connected to my college. I want to be, more connected to my peers. I'm excited to see if the online instruction is going to change at all. I'm really happy with the way my professors have taught this semester, though. I was sort of expecting the worst, and I was given really good professors this semester, and luckily I'll be keeping a few of them on to the next semester. And I guess I'm also a little nervous about how online instruction is going to continue, but I'm still excited. And I'm excited to see our new president in action.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
I agree with you, Sam.
What about you, Miss Liz?
Okay. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can engage students virtually. For SGA, we have a couple of events planned, and I'm excited to see how we can further develop and get more students engaged and involved. I think being so involved has really helped me stay as connected with my college as I am currently, and it really has changed my life for the better. So I want to give students an opportunity to be successful after, Sam and I and Iyanna leave, so that students can get involved and feel as connected with their college as I currently do.
I agree.
So I think it's going to be interesting. When you said something, Sam, that it resonated with me about classes online. And it occurred to me that for many students, this was the first time they may have taken an online class. And I think for many faculty, it was the first time they taught an online class. I had to figure out how to do online orientation, graduation, and it was just interesting. Like I know what it looks like to do that in the physical realm, but how do you engage people? And when I think about a faculty member in a classroom, there's so many dynamics in a classroom that are impossible to replicate virtually. Mm-hmm. And it's this, I don't want to say weird, but it's this strange now interaction where we have experts in instruction,
yes,
who now have to figure out, how do I keep someone engaged? How do I replicate the fun that may have had going on in my classroom online? And it's an interesting, we were all forced into this space, but I think we're getting better, right? Spring was sort of like, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Fall, people had a little bit more time to practice and learn, and I'm hoping that spring may actually be a lot more engaging and exciting because everyone's had an opportunity to practice that realm, teaching and learning in that realm. But it occurred to me when you said that, I was shocked at how many faculty members had not taught an online class.
Yeah,
Ever.
So it's funny because one of my professors, she told me, everyone talked about how when everything's online, it's going to be a lot easier to teach, but this semester made everything so much harder, and that's what she was telling me. And I was just thinking about how, a lot of students talk about the stress we're under, but no one really talks about the stress the professors have been under this semester as well. And I think I think the instructors have done an extraordinary job of their instruction. I'm really grateful for our instructors.
And I think they miss students. It's interesting. I think when you go into teaching or anything in higher education, I think you like teaching. You like there's something that we see when learning starts to occur, and we can see it, and that's exciting. But you can't see that aha moment possibly on a Zoom call or web. Like, you can't see that. And I think that even faculty getting together to talk about, best practices, or really, I think, and students getting together to talk about, best ways to learn. And I think that is, I think it's sorely missed. And I don't know if an online platform can replicate that. But I think we'll figure it out. I do think that human beings are sort of like, we have brains. We have the biggest brains. We do amazing things. I think we'll figure it out. But Spring 21, honestly, I'm hoping is a ton of change. I don't know if we'll ever go back to what we all know as our tradition. I don't like to call it normal, but the traditional ways of being. I think we're going to be better. I think this has given us a lot of opportunities to be better. So I'm hoping we figure out how to take the best lessons learned from 2020 and use it to make 2021 that much better. But I have a lot of hope for Spring 21. It has to be. I need the hope.
Yes, I agree. I believe that engaging is the most important thing, especially for students, because I feel like without engaging, you feel like a little lost, or as if you don't have a purpose. And for me, when this whole pandemic started and I found out about Phi Theta Kappa and the virtual studio, I got my hands in there, and then I actually found new faces and new friends, and I felt like I was a part of something. And I feel like that's the most important thing when you're going to school. You want to actually know that you mean something to somebody, and you actually are doing something to benefit your future. And I feel like becoming the president-elect of PTK, I actually want to feel like I have a say-so in the community for Thomas Nelson. So I want to actually bring them more to the virtual meetings, and even if they can come somehow face-to-face or something. Or even I want to try to make an incentive program so they actually maybe attend a meeting if we have some type of award they can get sometimes. Right. Because some people do feel kind of distant with the virtual, because it's okay, I'm just on a meeting. I can have my camera off. Right. I can put myself on mute. So it's is that person even there behind the screen? Because you don't know. Right.
They're logged in, but not necessarily logged on, right? They're not necessarily engaged, but they're sort of, I'm here, somewhere in the background, but present, right? They may not actually be present.
Yes. But I love that we all feel like engaging is the most important thing. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to this question I have. What are you going to keep at Thomas Nelson Community College, and what are you going to change, and specifically?
I would say the first thing I'm going to do is being new to the college. I think one of the worst things you can do is honestly come in with a plan of what's the first thing I'm going to keep, what's the first thing I'm going to get rid of, or what's the first thing I'm going to do. It's almost like if you entered a relationship and you started thinking to yourself, oh, this is the first thing I'm going to change about this person. Right? This is the first, we have to have a talk. It's a bad way. I think it's a bad way to build a relationship, definitely, and usually not very successful. And so I would have to say one of the first things that I want to do, and I've been doing some of that, is really find out what's important to people. If I'll share this story with you, about 10 years ago, when I became a registrar, I entered a new job, and every morning my team would come to work and have breakfast together. And I was so annoyed with them. They would spend the first 30 to 45 minutes of the day chit-chatting and catching up, talking about the family. And I was very annoyed. And I thought to myself, I'm going to have to talk to them. Because you can't, have breakfast at home. How are you going to come to work and spend the first 35, 45 minutes of the day chit-chatting? And it made me so upset, because I thought to myself, they're not working hard. And I let it go. Though, for about 6 months. And what I noticed over the 6 months, they did it for the entire time I was there. But what I learned was every one of them stayed late. Almost none of them took a real lunch break. If I needed something, they were there. Working on the weekends, they were there. They worked so hard. And what I realized was that morning that they had together, because I used to call them the breakfast club, and I was just like, oh, the breakfast club again, another 45 minutes before work can get done. What I learned, though, was that was the only time they got to be with each other and talk to each other and connect as a team. Because for the rest of the day, they were working and working, eating lunch at their desk, like almost no one took time off. They would stay late. And I realized if I had come in and broken up the breakfast club, if I came in and said, this has got to stop, you need to get your work done, I would have missed out on the bigger opportunities, which is they don't take lunch breaks. They rarely leave the office. They work late all the time. If I need someone on a weekend, they're there. If I need someone on a late night, they're there. So if I came in and said, no, this morning breakfast thing you do, it has to end, it would have probably it would have upset them. It was the only time they got to connect. They probably would have not liked me as a leader, and they probably would not have stayed late when I needed people to stay late, coming on the weekends when I needed people on the weekends. They could have said, hey, you know what? We're going to all start taking our lunch now. And I really, at that time, I needed people to work hard. Like we were in a bad place, and I needed people to work hard. But if I didn't take the time to get to know the culture and didn't get to know why breakfast was important to them, then I would have lost a lot of faith in them. Mm-hmm. I would have lost a lot of trust, and it would have been a bad decision for me ultimately. And so after the first 6 months, I would come in, breakfast club is meeting. I'd stop by, hey everyone. I started to join them. Not for too long, because I still got down to work, but I realized that the breakfast club that I thought was a waste of time.
It had a meaning.
It had a meaning to them, and it was very meaningful to them. And what I got out of that was they really worked really hard for me. And so if I would have taken away that breakfast club in the mornings, it would have done nothing for morale. It would have ruined morale, and ultimately I would have lost in the end, because all the hard work they were willing to give me, they probably wouldn't have been. And so that's why I think when you enter into any new job, you really have to take time to get to know the place, the people, and what's important to them, what rituals matter to them, why are certain things important. I think it's really time, because that's how you build relationships and you build trust. So when I start in January, my goal is to really learn the people, learn the places, learn what's important to folks, and learn why. Most importantly, why is something important to people? What's the meaning behind it? Before I even think about changing a thing. Because I found that if you come in ready to change things without really truly understanding what it is those things are and what meaning they have, that could be detrimental to a career.
I definitely agree. I feel like honestly I haven't put that perspective on things, because usually if I go to a workplace, I just see somebody coming in trying to change things without understanding what is actually going on. So I like the fact that you're actually willing to understand what is going on before you even go and step your foot in anything to try to change something. So I think that has a great aspect to actually the workplace itself.
It's dangerous when someone thinks they're going to come in and fix something or change. I don't have that kind of ego, and it's dangerous. It usually does not end well. I've seen leaders who do that, and it just does not end well. You lose a lot of trust and faith in people, and I would never. I never have done it, but that experience I just shared with you, that was the closest I came. And even just that one little thing, just breakfast, I would have been justified in saying you can't start your work day and take 45 minutes for breakfast. I would have been fully justified, but it would have hurt me in the end. And I'm so glad I learned that day that leave things alone and wait to figure out why it has meaning to people before you try to change it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I'll keep that with me. Well, I don't really try to change stuff. I try to actually see how stuff is going like you do, and then if I feel like something needs to be changed, then I would let it try to change it. Okay, and here's my last question for you today.
Sure.
As the president, how does interacting with students during COVID and after COVID is important to you? Well, I think you really touched on that all day.
It really, relationships, and you guys, Sam especially, heard me say this a million times. Sorry, Sam. But those relationships are really important. And what I like to do, I like to keep my finger on the pulse of any organization. Students have an incredible perspective that I don't get to have. I don't get to have. But faculty have an incredible perspective that I don't get to have. And so that's why the interaction is really important. Pre-COVID, it was always important. During COVID, because we're not post yet, you really got to check in with people and you got to see how your students are doing. You got to see how your faculty and staff are doing. There was a one time recently, I just sent out an email to all my students and I just said, how's it going? Is there anything I can help you with? That's all, period. And I just waited to see, and the kinds of feedback that I had, students were struggling with mental health. Some students were struggling with food. Some students were just like, oh my God, online learn. Like a student said to me, it feels like my instructors have like tripled the work. It feels like I have so much more to do. They thought online instruction was going to be easy. Like, it feels like I have so much more to do. What I found was that students just needed an outlet. Nobody asked them how they were doing. Because like we're all in this, right? So you don't get to complain. Everyone's suffering. So I think a lot of folks feel like, oh, you don't get to complain. Everybody's suffering. But nobody asked them how they were doing. And it was just so we decided to have a Zoom call, right? Like, let's just have a Zoom call. And it was just so funny how everyone was just talking about their emotions, they're gaining weight, they can't do the things they like to do, but they needed an opportunity to just vent. And they didn't really need me to solve anything. I just scheduled the call. And everyone sort of popped on to talk about what challenges they were facing, what Netflix shows they were missing because they were like home with kids and working, just being able to vent. And that was an opportunity. And I remember after the Zoom call, I was exhausted, but I remember thinking, I got to do this once a month. Because people really just wanted that opportunity to vent. And because the students weren't on campus, that Zoom call was everything. And honestly, I didn't solve any problems that day. No problems were solved, but it was just, we did help with some food. We helped the folks who had needs, but some folks just really needed to vent. And by the end of it, they were kind of like laughing and giggling. Nobody's life was changed, right? It's still terrible, right? We're still online, people are still employed, but I think just that opportunity to vent was really important. So when I think about what the engagement looks with students moving forward, I think we have to do, we have to work more at staying connected, staying engaged, because we're so physically distanced. We don't have to be socially distanced, right? We have to be physically distanced. And so I think we need to work really hard at keeping the social aspect of that interaction there, even though physically we have to be separate from each other. So I definitely think it's more important now than ever. And until we can get back to a space where it's easy for me to see you and give Sam a pat on the back and say, hey, how's it going? I think until we can do that, we really got to make sure we keep the social engagement strong.
Yes, I definitely agree. Do you have anything else to say, Sam?
No, I really agree with all of that. I like the way you put it, where, we shouldn't be socially distant, but we should be physically distant. I like that wording a lot more than the socially distant.
Yeah, it's the new norm, All right. I have one more question for you. It's not written down or anything, but what is your most important thing about education?
Honestly, options. What education gives people are options. And when I say that, I mean when you don't have a trade or a skill or a formal credential, a certificate, an associate's degree, people will limit your options. The world will limit your options. And when people don't have options, they feel stuck. And when you feel stuck, that is a terrible place to be emotionally, when you feel as if, oh, I do my job because I love my job. There's folks who do their job because they have no choice.
Yes.
They have no options. And what I believe education and training and skills development does is it gives you options in life. And the more you learn, like when we talk about lifelong learning, it's like the more you learn, the more you add to your own portfolio, and it gives you greater options. And so for me, education is really not about a salary, and it's not about a job. It offers humans the flexibility to say, when I no longer am happy at this place or with this field, I can move. I can leave. It gives you the confidence to say, oh, I could be successful here. I could be successful somewhere else. And even if I don't have the skills, I've gotten the skills to do this. I can get the skills to do that. And education, I think, offers a certain level of freedom. Freedom and flexibility in your life and options to go wherever you want to go and go as far as you want to go. And that, for me, is why I think it's really important for everyone to get as much education as they can. And again, that's not necessarily a degree, right? It doesn't have to be a doctorate degree. I'm very interested in technology. I'd like to get a new Google certificate. right? I'd like to learn more about the world. I mean, it's 2020. Look at the world we live in right now. You know, having technological skill is critical. I tell the joke sometimes, my husband and I, between the two of us, we have 6 degrees. And when our stove wasn't working, we paid an electrician more than the two of us get paid per hour combined to fix the stove. And I thought to myself, did we get hoodwinked? Like, you know, this guy, I mean, but it was sort of like, you know, so it's just, but having a skill that's in demand, right? That gives that gentleman options. He doesn't have to work a 9-to-5 day. He can set his own schedule. He probably has layers of flexibility and freedom that we don't have, right? Options. He has options, but he doesn't have a doctorate degree, right? And probably doesn't have student loans, but, you know, but that's what education means to me. It's about the options to do with your life whatever you want to do with your life. And that's why I think it's incredibly important for us to get as much as we want to go wherever we want.
Yes, I definitely agree. I feel like that's my main purpose for keep striving to do school. And well, I really feel like I'll accomplish something after 2021 after I get my associate's degree, because I feel like I actually did something that I feel like I'm going to have more options to do certain things. So yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Meetup, and thank you, Dr. Brannon, for joining us today. I had a lovely time.
My pleasure. Had a great time as usual.
And thank you, Sam, and thank you, Liz. And see you next time on the Meetup.